This time on Shift Points, the Galaxie's not ready, so we gotta get another car ready to go to the Trinity Car Show. Hey, don't forget, click that subscribe button. It's really important. Thanks for joining. Alright, so a little bit of change of plans here. The Galaxie is nowhere near close enough done to get this thing up to the Trinity Church for the Streettiques car show that's coming up here really soon. But we promised that there was going to be a Ford there and that we were going to bring it. So I think today is a perfect opportunity for us to introduce another Ford in the Freeman family. It's been in here a long time, so I'm going to jump in here and get that thing and see if we can get it up to Dad's and see if we can get the fuel pump fixed, which is what's wrong with it, so that we can get this thing up there for the car show. So let's see if this thing will start. So this is a 1964 Ford Fairlane. This car was bought new by my grandparents in '64, so I don't know what it is about the Freemans and loving the '64 Fords, but this is one of them. So I'm gonna get this thing up to Dad's. Hopefully it'll restart after I can get these doors shut and everything. We can restart, get this thing up to Dad's, and we're gonna work on it today. I'm gonna let him give you the rundown on the whole history of this car. First time I'm driving this car, and it's pretty neat. Dad did a motor swap on it back in the late 80s. Like I said, I'll let him give you all the details on that. But the body of this car has over 300,000 miles on it. It has been driven a lot. Much like Richard and Velma with the '64, the Galaxie, my mom and Papa drove this thing everywhere. I mean, they drove it Natural Bridge, Virginia. They take it to the beach. They took it up to Michigan. They drove it everywhere. So the body of this thing has a ton of miles on it. Not exactly sure how much is on the engine. Like I said, Dad can definitely give you more of that information when we get up there. But yeah, this is the first time driving it, so that's kind of it's pretty interesting. I'm glad that I'm able to video this as we go. I'm just easing it down the road here. It's funny, I drive cars like this down the road, and it's amazing how many waves and stuff that you get out the window and people that are driving. Just a reminder, if you got an old car like this, get out and drive it. Just drive the heck out of it. That's what they're for, and that's what people want to see. Don't just leave them in the garage. Take them out and drive these dang things. Let people see them, because let's be honest, the cars on the road nowadays are pretty boring. So let's make it better. So we got this thing up here, got it pulled up in front of the shop. We're going to start working on it. But before we got digging into it, I wanted to get Dad to talk about this car, kind of the history of it, where it came from, all the things that went on with it. Like I said, it's been in the family for a really long time. So I'm going to turn it over to him and let him talk about it.
I guess at this point, Jake's told you we're not going to make the show with the Galaxie. Got kind of caught up in some stuff. We had to wait on some stuff. Anyway, we decided, since we had 2 cars registered for the show tomorrow, we would take this Fairlane. This car's been in my family since it was brand new. Mom and Dad bought it in, of course, in '64, new. Mom drove it to work till she died in '83, and the car had about, at that point, I probably had 175,000 miles on it. They drove it on vacation. This is the first car I ever drove, if you can believe that. Dad taught me to drive in an old Jeep, but at the same time, after I learned to drive the Jeep, I got to driving this thing a little bit. But anyway, they took it on vacation. We drove it everywhere. I mean, any place besides the farm we was in this car. So it's been in the family ever since it was new. I was six when they bought it. Mom drove it till '83. Dad started driving it again probably in about '85, '86. At that point, it was approaching 200,000 miles. In '88, he decided it needed a different engine or that motor fixed. It came from the factory with a 289 and a 3-speed on the column, which I like to never learn to drive it. Transferring from a 3 into Florida, a 3 on the column was, for some reason, presented me with a big challenge. But anyway, it had a 3 on the column. and a 289 2-barrel. So we decided, we looked around. I kind of leaned toward putting a small block Chevrolet in it. He decided that was a bad idea, to say the least. So anyway, we found an 88 Mustang HO302. Car had got on fire in another friend of mine's shop. It had burnt the wiring off the top of the motor, destroyed the car. But the car had 900 miles on it. So I got the 302, and it had a 5-speed, and I wasn't smart enough to keep the 5-speed. We had a top loader 4-speed that I put in it at that time. We put the 302. That motor was injected. It had an early style Ford type injection on it. Pulled all that, and the wiring was burnt off of it. So we pulled all that off. I put an Edelbrock intake on it and a 600 Holly, and made it work like that. We put an alternator, transferred it from a generator to an alternator, and put a clutch and just pretty much serviced it at that point. And then Dad drove it another, it's showing 84,000 miles on the clock now, but the speedometer, since we put the 4-speed in it, was off about 20%. So around neighborhood of 300,000 miles is what's on the car now. So we have to have an electric pump. That motor didn't have provisions for mechanical pump, or that's what we'd have put on it, but we had to put an electric pump on it. So I put, at that time, I put a Holly Blue pump on it, which was pretty noisy. So anyway, that's what we're going to stay with, just to get it going up there. The pump's kind of giving up. That pump's been on it probably, I don't know, 25, 30 years, I guess, and a little bit leery of it. So we're going to change it and put a red pump on it, which may or may not be a little quieter. So that's what we're getting into today. We're going to try to get that fixed and just kind of patch it up to get to the Trinity show tomorrow for the Streettiques. So that's kind of a little background on this car.
So when we got this thing jacked up and got to looking at it, Dad said he was shocked. He didn't realize, I told you guys earlier that fuel pump was just straight wire. It's not. It's on a relay, and this relay is mounted right here on the firewall right back there. So what it is right here, this red wire is connected to the constant 12 on the starter solenoid. This pink wire is where he's picking up his switch 12. This gray wire in here is where it's picking up ground right here on the at the carburetor, or on the intake. So there's the ground, and then this red wire that runs over this way is actually running back into the fuel pump. So that's good. That simplifies things. He said that there used to be a small clacker pump mounted here, and that's why this wire ran this direction and over here. But this wire is run. I'm going to get under with a creeper and just double check, but I'm pretty certain this is the wire that's running all the way back to the fuel pump. But that really is kind of going to simplify things a little bit. We thought we had to, which, not that the wiring on this thing was going to be too crazy, but we thought we would have to do some more work. We knew there was a wire back to the back, but we thought we'd have to mount it and do all that, but don't think so. I think it's going to just, we're just going to be able to swap the pump out. But I'm going to check that wire real quick, make sure that it is what's running to the fuel pump, and then that'll, yeah, it's going to simplify things a lot. We get back here or under this thing, and the fuel pump is mounted right back here, right at the fuel tank. So there's the fuel tank. That is the right wire that's running back here. So all we got to do is get this thing unplugged, unhooked, spill a bunch of gas, and then unbolt it, and we should be ready to swap them out. I don't remember if I mentioned this at any point before, but Napa reached out to us and sent us this care package, and that was super cool of them and very nice. And so we're going to jump in here this morning, and after Dad has already gotten his ice pack full of stuff, we're going to go ahead and get him in this nice pair of Team Napa safety glasses.
Thank you.
Perfect. got the old pump out here. This is it. I'm curious, if you look here at this ground wire, that is kind of broken. It's not fully broken, but I wonder if that's not, there we go. You can actually kind of see some of the wire there on that ground wire. I wonder if that is something to do with the intermittent not starting fine. Maybe, I don't know. But this has been there for a really long time. We're gonna have to save these fittings most likely. And here's this really nice new high performance Holley fuel pump. Get that thing out of the box here. We've had this thing for a few weeks, ready to put it in, and just haven't taken the time because we've been working on the Galaxie. So we just haven't taken the time to get this thing put in place. So this car show was the perfect opportunity to do it. So there we go. A nice new Holley red pump that, like I said, those fittings should come right out and put in here. Got the same leads that we had. This pump is amazingly similar. I mean, you can see it's just a little bigger. In general, the diameter is a little bigger. I'm not sure the performance differences just off the top of my head. This is a 97 gallons per hour pump, the red pump is, so I'm betting this one's a little less. But should jump right back in place. This has this bracket already with it. I think Dad's probably going to pull I think that's what he's working on right now, is pulling the old bracket off. I'm going to go ahead and get these fittings pulled out so we can get them swapped into this and get this thing put back on. Alright, this guy is ready to go. We replaced the fittings. I put some new tape on, the Teflon tape on all the fittings here, so that should be good to go. I went ahead and made up the ends here. This will go under the bolt on the mounting bracket for a ground, which is where it was grounded for 30 years before that, so it should be okay. And then this guy will plug into the wire that already exists under there. And we're going to take some heat shrink and put on this too, just to double protect that 12 volt connection there. It's a pretty high amp connection. So we're gonna go ahead and do that, get under there and get this thing bolted back up. So since while we had all this apart, I decided it was probably a good idea to go ahead and change some of this old fuel line that's been under there. That's rock hard. My goodness, that stuff is so stiff, and you saw that right there. It's pretty much shredded and tore there. So yeah, probably a good idea. We had some really nice new line back here, came from the Napa store. We'll get that thrown in, put in place to replace all this, and that's going to, yeah, that'll make that better. That's one of about 1,000 things that we need to check off the list of getting this car kind of up to the right standard, but this will be good enough to get us up to the car show.
Another 60-year-old car.
Exactly. I know that Dad really hates these little spring-loaded clamps. They're a real pain in the butt. You gotta get them with pliers and stuff, and it's almost impossible to always get all three. He told me to go find some new clamps to put on this fuel line. I'm gonna tell him I got 6 of these and just see what he says. Here, I got you a clamp to put on the hose.
Really? Really? This is what you want to put?
Yeah.
Give me some clamps.
There's some over there. Got him. Dad got the new pump mounted up in place here. It's all wired up and connected now. We're just working on, I cut the new hose to the right length. Should just jump right back in, and everything should just go right back in how it's supposed to be. Alright, we are ready to see if this thing's gonna leak. So all we gotta do is turn the switch on.
Hey, it's quiet.
It's a lot quieter.
A lot quieter.
All good?
How about that?
No leaks?
No leaks. Man, that's so much quieter.
That's a lot quieter, yeah. You get this thing on the ground, you won't hardly hear it. Mom will be happy.
Yeah, Mom will be much happier. Well, I will too.
Oh, yeah.
True. I'm deaf and I can hear it.
Dad, while Dad was under this thing, changing out the fuel pump, he noticed that one of the shocks was busted.
Both of them.
Both of them are busted. He just happened to think of the guys down at Bypass Automotive here in Marshall, and son of a gun if they didn't have 2 Monroe shocks to put on this thing. So, yeah, so we're going to quickly get those thrown on and just have this thing ready, and we'll be ready to go. It's going to make a big difference. Well, this thing is officially a Ship Points vehicle. It's got the sticker in the back glass, and it's, first time on a video, so Heading back, we're gonna take this thing and get it parked. Looks like it might start raining, so we're gonna get this thing parked and have everything ready to go for tomorrow. Yeah, it's a good day. Got that fuel pump in. It makes a big difference. It's a lot quieter than the old one. So far, we've started this thing a few different times. Haven't had any issues getting it started. So yeah, so that's good. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll head up to Trinity. Good morning. We are getting ready to head up here to the car show. We stopped here at the Sunoco station to get some fuel in the Fairlane. Dad's got the truck over here. We're ready to go. Should be a good day. It's a little foggy this morning, but looking like it's gonna be some nice weather. So we're gonna head up that way now. Good morning, sir. How are you? Good.
Good. Oh, remind me, some point. I know you probably didn't bring any with you, but I want to buy a shirt.
I've got them in this box right here. I did bring them with me.
Save me a 2X.
I'll do it. I got them.
I'll buy it from you.
Good deal. Thank you. Appreciate it. a good little show up here today. It was a really good turnout. The guys at the Streettiques, guys and gals at the Streettiques did awesome. We're trying to fight the rain a little bit. Brian's 55 truck brought home a top 10 award. I think he's pretty proud of that, which he should be. And yeah, like I said, it's a hot day, but we're gonna ease on back to the house and see if we can get here before we all get rained on. So it was kind of a mad dash when everything got drawn. Everybody's out of here, so let's get home. Really appreciate the guys and gals up at Streettiques taking care of us. You could tell it is the next day. We did not beat the rain. The Fairlane got really wet. Everything got really wet. It came a massive storm on us on the way home. And right before I got here is when it kind of let down on us. But that's okay, no worries, that's what they're for. They're here to be driven, they're here to go out in this stuff. Can't worry about that stuff too much. But again, I really appreciate everybody that put that show on. They had over 300 cars there. It was a really good turnout. It was really warm, but it was really good. The weather was nice. And like I said, that storm didn't come up until later in the evening. So I'm hoping that most people got their stuff home if they were really concerned about keeping it out in the weather. Thank you guys for joining us. Click that subscribe button when it pops up in the center. It's super important to us. We are over 700 subscribers at this point, which is just amazing. I don't know if I've got to say that lately, but the people who are watching these and tuning in every week and doing all this stuff is really cool that you guys like what we're doing. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. That's the best way to support us and not spend a penny. And also head over to our social media. Go to Instagram and Facebook. You can follow us. We're putting up stuff basically every day. Some pretty funny stuff and kind of following along with what we do throughout the week. So we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for joining Shift Points.